Hello, hello, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is for you. Welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have a wonderful short little class for you today. We're going to kind of get a mixture of everything here. We'll start off moving, doing a quick little vinyasa flow, and then we'll kind of ease down into some yin postures, and then also work with a restorative shavasana towards the end. So we're looking at for class today. If you have props available, I highly suggest using them. Today I'm going to have 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use water bottles or maybe books to stack up and elevate you a little higher. And then we'll also use a blanket for seated posture towards the end of class. And then always with restorative, any pillows, bolsters, anything like that will allow you to get more comfortable. I highly suggest. I'm going to offer a couple different options for the Shavasana restorative at the end, depending on what you have. That way everyone can find suits them and suits what they have available. So we'll talk more about that towards the end of class, but if you would like, maybe pause the video, take a moment to gather all of those things, and I'll meet you standing at the top of your mat. So take your time and then just play the video again when you're ready. All right, so here we are standing at the top of our mat. Take a moment to situate your feet underneath you. Maybe rocking a little side to side, spreading the toes there. You could even shift forward and back on the ball of the foot and the heel a couple times. And then just take a deep breath. As you exhale, sigh the breath out through the mouth. Let it go. Good. And then inhale, root through the feet. Reach the arms up as you breathe in. Big breath here. As you exhale, start to hinge forward from the hips. Let your fingertips just rain down. Good. From there, settle the weight. Find a bend in the knees. Let the head hang heavy. Maybe sway a little side to side. Take an extra inhale. Exhale out through the mouth. Good. Root through the heels. Rise up. Reach up tall. Inhale. As you exhale again, hands to heart center, start to hinge forward, forward fold. Good. Slide your hands up to your thighs. Inhale, press the thighs away from you as you lengthen the heart forward, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root through the heels, rise up tall. We'll do that one more time. Exhale, hands through heart center, dive forward. Take your time, match your movement, your breath. Inhale, rise up, halfway lift. Press into the thighs, shoot the hips back as the heart leads forward. Exhale, fold. Let the fingertips graze the mat here and then step your right foot back, plant your hands, step your left foot back. All right, here we are, high plank. From here, widen the feet so they're about hips width rather than zippering them up together. Press your heels back. And then see if you can start to pull your heart forward like you're trying to wrap your elbows back, your shoulders back, and lead the heart through the arms. You can always place your knees down here. Zipper up through center and root the tailbone down towards the heels. Take one more breath here. Good. As you exhale, everyone lower the knees. Press the ground away from you with your hands and then start to shift forward. Bend the elbows, wrap them in towards the sides of your body as you slowly lower all the way to the ground. Good. From there, widen your hands out so they're in line with your shoulders, and then with the elbows bent about 90 degrees. Stay light on the fingertips here, tent the palms up, press into the tops of the feet, and then on an inhale, slowly start to find a baby cobra in the upper body. Stay light on the fingers, pull the heart forward. Exhale, lower. Do that 2 more times. Press into the feet, root the tailbone down. Engage through the belly. And then inhale, rise up, maybe a little taller this time. Good. Exhale, soften. Last time here, press into the feet, root the tailbone down, inhale, lift the chest. Good, exhale, lower back down. Plant the hands back underneath the shoulder blades there. Tuck the toes. Take a deep breath. When you're ready to exhale, press the ground away from you, rise up, either half push-up or top of a push-up. From there, bend the knees and send the hips all the way up and back. Find your first downward dog. And then with it being your first downward dog of the day, take some time here to move around. Maybe allow the feet to widen as much as the mat. You could point the toes in towards one another, kind of playing with the different ankle positionings there. Take a couple breaths. If settling into stillness feels better for you today, you might go ahead and explore that. But I would suggest, at least for the first one, to move around, really explore kind of what the backs of the legs feel, what the lower calf situation is. Mine are very tight, so maybe you linger there, trying to anchor one heel down towards the ground, and then starting to bend and lengthen the other heel down towards the ground, going back and forth like that. Good, head's hanging heavy. Press the ground away from you with your hands and then start to claw into the fingertips here. So the hand on the mat is really active. Good. Take your last breath here, downward facing dog, and then slowly start to bend a little through the left leg. Wrap the left hip back, and then on an inhale, lengthen the right leg up and back behind you. So coming into a three-legged dog here. Point through the toes, reach through the ball of the foot, and spread the toes actively. Good. And then keep the chest pretty square to the mat. Try not to move any side to side. Slowly start to bend the right knee, the lifted leg, and make big circles with your knee. As big as you possibly can while keeping the chest facing the mat evenly and even weight in both hands. Keep doing big circles. Maybe you reverse your direction here. Good, and check back in with your breath. One more inhale wherever you are. Slowly bring the leg back to center, re-lengthen, inhale. When you're ready to exhale, pull your knee towards your nose. Round through the upper back like cat pose, and then step your foot between your arms. Grab your ankle, pull it forward the rest of the way, whatever you need to do there. Then stay light on the fingertips, wrap the right hip back, lengthen the heart forward, inhale. Maybe hover the hands, press the ground away from you with your feet, drive through the right heel. Good, pull the shoulders up and back. One last breath here. And then slowly lower the fingertips back down. Pivot all 10 toes and your torso towards the left. Bring your hands to your hips and rise up. I'm going to do the opposite, so I'm facing the same way as you guys. Good, and then look down at your feet. Angle your right toes all the way forward towards the front of your mat. And then heel toe your right foot more towards the right side of your mat. Look back at your left foot. Angle that foot slightly so that you can press through the outer edge of your foot there. Press down into the left leg and then bring your attention back to your right leg. Look at your knee, start to bend it, and as you do so, make sure that it's tracking towards the pinky edge of your right foot. Press your knee out like you have something on the outside of the knee that you're trying to press into. Keep wrapping the right hip back. And then inhale, reach the arms out long. Good. Soften the shoulders as you exhale. Feel the musculature between the shoulder blades, hugging the arms back and broadening through the chest. And then can you corset the front ribs down and in and start really engaging through center? You might bend a little more into your right knee. Go ahead, take one more breath here. Soften the shoulders as you exhale. Good. Exaggerate hugging the right hip back as you lean forward. Reach forward as much as you can with your fingers, and then slowly bring your right elbow to your right thigh. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Press into your right leg rather, with your arm. Rather than collapsing your weight into your arm, press the arm into the leg to lift the chest. And then broaden through the shoulders. The top arm, your left arm, might reach straight up towards the ceiling. Press more into the outside edge of your left foot. Maybe bend a little more into the right knee. Take one more breath. You got this. Good. Exhale. Lower the hands down to the ground. Spin up on the back foot. And then step your right foot back. From there, slowly start to peel the hips up and back. Find your downward dog once more. And then we're going to flow with our breath a little here. So make sure you have a firm root in the ground with your hands. Spread your fingers wide. Press down into the knuckles, especially the index finger and the thumb. Let the head hang heavy. Course it in around center and knit the front ribs down and in. And then when you're ready to inhale, shift onto the balls of your feet, lift the heels, and then lift the hips up and over like you're trying to hop over a fence as you shift forward into plank pose. From there, settle, press the heels back now, pull the heart forward. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, bend the knees, and then again, press the hips up and back, downward dog. And we'll flow through that a couple more times on your breath. So as you inhale, again, balls of the feet, heels start to lift, shift the heart up and over, and then forward into your plank. Press the heels back. Lengthen the heart forward, take an inhale. Exhale, press the hips up and back. Last time here, inhale, hips up and over. Good. Settle into your plank. And then when you're ready to exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. Find some movement. Maybe you settle into stillness this time. Maybe you find a cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. And then when you're ready, inhale. Lift the left leg up and back. And then just make some circles with the left leg. Your standing leg, the foot that's on the ground, make sure that leg is still bent so your knee's not locked out. You have a tendency to do that in this pose. Go ahead and change the directions of your circles if you'd like. Good. Take your last breath here. Awesome. And then when you're ready, inhale, bring the leg back to center, lengthen the leg, reach through the ball of the foot. As you exhale, pull your knee towards your nose, round through the upper back, slow your movement down, and then step your foot forward. Get lighter on the fingertips, adjust your stance as needed, wrap your left hip back, press into the left heel, and then slowly start to lift the chest away from the left thigh. Maybe you hover the fingertips above the ground this time. Good. Keep wrapping the left hip back. Notice how that lengthens the right hip a little forward and allows you to feel more centered. Good. Last breath in. Exhale, graze the fingertips down towards the mat, and then again pivot towards the center of your mat. So this time towards the right. Bring your hands to your hips. Rise up slowly when you're ready. Good. Take a peek down at your feet again. This time, left toes will angle all the way forward. Heel toe your foot a little wider to the left, and then right toes will angle in slightly so that the heel is closer to the back of the mat. Press down into the outer edge of the foot there. Keep wrapping the left hip back and start to bend the left knee. Notice where your knee is pointing. Can you try to track the knee towards the outside edge of your foot? And then reach the arms out into a T when you're ready. Soften through the shoulders. And then notice where your torso is in relation to your legs. So a lot of times in this pose, we lean the torso forward without even realizing it, which in turn puts a lot more weight on the front leg. Can you lean the torso back slightly so that you can really feel your weight evenly rooted into both feet? Awesome. Keep exaggerating, wrapping the left hip back. As you do so, this time start to glide forward. Reach your left arm all the way forward towards the front of the room.
Right hand comes to right hip, left elbow to left thigh. And then from there, instead of slouching down into your arm, press your arm into your leg and let it almost act like a lever for you to press into and open the heart more. Good, and then top arm can float straight up if it's effortless, but if it takes away from what you're doing in your legs, the work you're doing there, don't do it. It's not a wise choice. Good, find your breath. That's where you'll find your stability. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, lower the hands down to the ground. Step your left foot back. And then again, we'll flow through that downward dog plank motion here. This time, if you'd like, you might add a vinyasa. We're going to do 3 rounds. So instead, if you'd like to add the vinyasa, maybe you lift your hips up and over from downward dog, shift forward into plank, and then shift onto the toes as you slowly lower all the way to the belly. From there, light on the fingertips, open the chest, press into the tops of the feet. And then as you exhale, soften down, press the ground away from you as you lift up. Inhale. Exhale, press the hips up and back. Good. Those vinyasas are always optional. We're just wanting to build a little heat with our short little class before we settle down into our yin postures. We've got one more little flow here. So from downward dog, that's where we'll meet. When you are ready, on an inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And then as you exhale, slowly start to pull your right knee towards your nose, round through the upper back like cat pose, pause. Pull your knee closer to your nose, and then step your foot forward. Good. This time stay light on the fingertips, look back at your left foot, angle your heel down, and widen your left foot a little more to the left side of your mat. So building warrior 2 here, different way. Press into the right heel and then slowly start to rise up when you're ready. Keep your right hip wrapping back, and then you might find some rotation at the torso here to open the arms out into a T. Keep pressing down into both feet. Check back in with your knee perhaps. Remember, we've been here before, so can you bring some of the familiarity from the pose we already did, but still treat it like a different pose? Every time you enter a pose, it's a new experience for the body, and the mind should treat it the same. Good. Maybe you soften into the knee a little bit more here. And then we're going to play with a little balance from the ball of our foot. So on an inhale, you might slowly start to lift the heel. This is optional. As you exhale, you'll soften the heel back down. Check back in with your legs, your breath. Again, inhale, maybe you lift the heel. Exhale, lower the heel, slowly controlled. One more time, inhale, lift the heel. Option here, keep it. Reach your arms back out into a T. Flip your front palm, your right hand. Wrap your left arm behind your back. And then inhale up and over as you reverse your warrior. Good. Stretch more through the right side of the body while not collapsing into the left. Take one more breath. Exhale, lower the heel if it's lifted. Reach the arm back forward. Cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. Step your front foot back. Good. Shift the weight a little side to side. Let the head hang heavy. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sigh the breath out. Good. From here, anchor down into the right heel. Bend the right knee slightly. And then inhale, lift your left leg up and back. Good. As you exhale, pull your knee towards your nose. Round through the upper back. Pull the knee a little closer, and then step your foot forward. Get lighter on the fingertips, stronger in the legs. Look back at your right foot. So seeing it with your eyes is really helpful, especially if this is new to you. Spin the left or the right heel down rather. Press into the knife edge, the outside edge of the right foot, and then slowly rise up when you're ready. You might add the arms here, or you might skip that this time. Gorgeous. Take another deep breath. Start to bend through the knee. Wrap the left hip back. Press more into the back foot. Spread the toes. Good, and then we might play with lifting the heel here. Option 1, you stay. You stay here in Warrior 2. This is enough work. If you'd like to add on, you might slowly start to lift the front heel. Take a breath in. As you exhale, soften the heel back down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift the heel. Exhale, soften the heel back down. Feel what muscles are working in order to do that. One last time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Or keep the heel lifted. Reach the arms out. Flip the right palm, or the left palm, sorry guys. Left palm faces the ceiling. Right arm wraps behind your back here. Wrap your left hip back and then lean forward. And then reach up and over to reverse your warrior. Stretch through the left side of the body while not collapsing into the right. Can you maintain length? Good. Take your last breath in. Slowly come back to center. Reach both arms out. Good. And then exhale. Cartwheel the hands down. Step the left foot back. Lower the knees down to the ground. And then allow the torso to settle into a child's pose here. Widen your knees. Bring the big toes together to touch. And then settle the torso between the legs, allowing it to fully rest on the ground. If the ground feels far away, if your forehead doesn't quite reach the ground, then block to place under the forehead there. Or a book. You could roll up your mat or stack your fists. Anything will work here. Find a cleansing breath. Breathe in through the nose. Sigh the breath out. Good. Bring your attention to the heat that we've built in the body. In just a short period of time, we're still able to fully connect with our breath and then allow ourselves to work a little here. Maybe working a little harder than you do in a longer class because you know you don't have very long to go. Gorgeous. When you're ready, shift forward into a tabletop. So instead of knees wide, big toes together, just bring the knees underneath you a little. And then from there, just come to a seat on your bottom. Take your time. I'm going to grab a blanket to sit up on. If you don't have one, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you find that sitting up tall while you're on your bottom and not sitting on anything is difficult or causes you to kind of want to round, then I suggest that you try sitting up on something. So it doesn't have to be a blanket. Anything that elevates the seat like an inch or so off the ground, or even a block even higher off the ground, will make a huge difference. And instead of sitting back, way back on the blanket, kind of scoot your hips forward so that you can feel your pelvis almost spill forward off the front of the blanket. And then that will allow you to elevate your spine a little more. Good. Cross your right shin in front of your left for now. We're going to move into kind of a yin practice, not traditional yin, but we're going to hold the poses for a little bit longer than we would in a traditional vinyasa class. So bring your fingertips just to your sides. Let them stay light on the ground here. And then pull your shoulders back in space. So again, you'll feel the musculature between the shoulder blades hugging the shoulders back. Take a big breath in. And then when you're ready to exhale, just slowly start to hinge forward from the waist. You might immediately start to feel some sensation in the outer hips, especially the outer right hip. You might not feel anything just yet, but part of a yin practice is not going all the way right away. So resist to go as far as you can right when you enter the pose. We're going to be here for probably 8 more breaths. So taking your time to ease into depth will help a lot with lingering in the pose rather than waiting for it to be over, rather relishing in the sensations that you find. take your breath with you as you fold forward. Allow each exhale to settle the hips towards the ground a little more. Each inhale, check in again with the length of your spine and the actions in the shoulders. Have you started to round through the shoulders? Because gravity is pulling you down. Can you instead resist that and use the muscles of the upper back to keep the chest lifted? Maybe you close your eyes. Take about 3 more breaths. Good. Slowly lift the torso. You might keep your eyes closed here. We'll just in front. So now the left shin in front. Flex the ankles, maybe adjust your hips as needed. And then again, fingertips, pull the shoulders, spine, inhale. And then slowly as you exhale, start to hinge forward from the hips, but take your time. Go about halfway at first. Each breath, you might move a little further. And by easing into the pose like this, not only does it give you more patience to stay in the pose for longer, but you're able to really start to notice how the pose changes as you spend a little more time there. So the first layer, the more subtle sensations, at about 50%, you're about halfway. And then as you start to deepen the pose, as you lower down a little more and a little more, just beginning to notice how those subtle sensations change into maybe a little bit more intense stretch through the hips. Or maybe your hips are super open and you still don't feel much, but that's okay. Can you stay anyways? Again, check in with the shoulders. It's really easy to start to round the upper back, but can you still actively pull the shoulder heads back? Keep broad across the front of the chest and long in the spine. We'll take just a few more breaths here. Take your time. Good, and then when you're ready, rise up slowly. From here, we're going to move into a wide-legged fold. I like to turn so that my hips are in the middle of the mat and then my legs kind of splay off to either side. That way your heels can stay on your mat. If you're on carpet or something, then no worries. Just open the legs up wide. I like to tell people to go as wide as you can, as wide as you feel like you can, and then bring the heels in like an inch, each one of them. So not quite out, that's called abduction, abduction, not quite as abducted as you possibly could be. And then flex your ankles, so pull your toes towards the midline, press your heels out away from you. And then again, stay light on the fingertips here, maybe rock the hips side to side to let them settle. Remember, you can always sit up on a blanket and then slowly begin to fold forward. Again, we'll be here for about 10 breaths, and if you start to slow your breath down, that's about 1.5 minutes. So we'll be here for a little while. I suggest that you ease into the pose. You might start gently rocking side to side through the torso to allow the torso to settle. And then once you feel ready, you might start to walk the hands out a little further, start to melt the torso down a little more. But again, not so focused on depth, but rather really tuned in and letting sensations be more important than how far you get or what you look like when you do the pose. If you have your blocks here, this might be a helpful space to prop your elbows up on blocks. That will allow your torso to rest a little if your upper back is getting tired. And then, since we're calling this a happy hour flow, let's get happy. Bring a little joy to your face. Maybe even if this pose doesn't feel very joyful, or if you had a rough day at work, or whatever the case may be, bring a smile to your face anyways. And notice how that will almost trick the rest of the body into allowing more joy to wash over. If you're saying, "Shut up, Hannah, stop talking," then smile anyways. All right. Take your last breath or two in your lovely forward fold with a smile across the face. Oh, I know something that will make you happy. We are about to get into our restorative Shavasana, which I know you will enjoy. So when you're ready, rise up. We've got a couple different options. If you have a giant wall behind you or enough space on a wall to do legs up the wall, that's going to be option number 1. If you have a blanket, placing that close to the baseboard of the wall and then coming to bring your hips onto the blanket will even allow the legs to linger more effortlessly onto the wall. So legs up the wall, come scoot your hips towards the side of the wall there, and then lean back. As you do that, just start to lift the legs up, lower the torso down, and then adjust your hips and blanket as needed. So, okay, there's option number 1, legs up the wall. Option number 2, we'll kind of build that same variation with our bolster. So you might, if you have it, grab both of your blocks, place them at the head of your mat. One block will probably be on the lowest height, going vertically towards the back of your mat, and then the other one will be on the second height. You can take a peek at the video here. Actually, you can't because you can't see. So one block on its lowest level and then one block on its second level there, kind of stacked. And then you'll grab your bolster and you're going to just place that on top of the blocks. Okay? So building another elevated stance. And then from there, same idea. You're going to scoot towards the front of the bolster, swing your legs over on top of the bolster, and then ease the torso down onto the ground. Okay. From here, settle the shoulders down. If you are not into either one of the leg variations, one other option is to switch, rather than the legs being up the bolster, just allow the torso to be on the bolster, arms down by your sides, broadening more through the chest. So you've got lots of different options here to try on. And if none of those suit you, if you fancy instead just the mat and your body, then maybe you just lay flat. If you have something else that works, feel free to go there. Lots of choices, lots of options. Nothing is wrong. Close your eyes. Wherever you are, let yourself settle. Feel the width across the collarbones. Feel the expansion of the breath in the belly. Wherever you are, let the weight of the legs rest heavy. The toes are passive. Ankles release their grip. Optional here again to just bring a small smile to the face, lifting the corners of the mouth. And let that sense of lightness and joy wash over the rest of the body as you latch back onto your breath. Feel free to linger here in this space for as long as you can, ideally a few minutes, maybe even longer. And this is where I'll leave you. This way you can stay for whatever time you have available. I thank you so much for spending this short practice with me, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.